Have you ever thought about how truly bizarre sleep is? Matthew Walker said it best in his book, Why We Sleep, when he said, first you become unconscious, then you become paralyzed, then while you're dreaming you hallucinate, and most of the time you wake up and have total amnesia of what happened. Now on the surface, this might sound like a full-blown psychotic episode, but make no mistake about it, sleep is one of the most powerful, restorative, and mysterious processes that your body goes through every day. It may be surprising to hear this as well because most of us just drift off to sleep and think nothing of it. But underneath the surface, there's so much more going on. While you're asleep, there's a perfectly timed orchestra of neurotransmitters, hormones, and electrical impulses that are regulating everything from your heart to your brain. And even though this process is invisible to us, it's very real and significant. What's also significant and equally invisible to us is how things that we do every day impact this process. Today, I want to talk about what really happens when you go to sleep, starting from when you're awake all the way to when your head hits the pillow. I'm also going to talk about 3 surprisingly common things that can wreck your sleep. Fix these things and your sleep will be transformed. Stay tuned. Hey guys, I'm Ben and thank you so much for checking out my channel. If you want more health related content, please like and subscribe to stay in the loop. So today I really wanted to dive into sleep, not only because it's one of the most important factors of our health, but because it's so easy to overlook how things that we do throughout the day can disrupt this process at night. This next topic that I'm getting into is claimed to be one of the most important factors of getting good sleep, and that is social jet lag. So proper timing for your sleep is absolutely essential. The sleep expert that I was talking about earlier, Matthew Walker, actually said that the #1 tip he would give for getting proper sleep is go to bed at the same time every day. And that's because your body runs on what's called a circadian rhythm. It's a 24-hour clock that's tightly regulated by different hormones and neurotransmitters and signaling molecules that rise and fall in conjunction with each other on a very tight schedule. So your circadian rhythm is based off when you typically go to sleep. So if suddenly you go to sleep at a very different time, things can go very wrong for your sleep. It's like your sleep is an orchestra. Every night when you're about to go to bed, there is a grand symphony that is scheduled to go. And of course, if you want a symphony to sound best, every member of the orchestra has to play at precisely the right time. So if you go to bed at 10 o'clock every day, that's when the symphony is scheduled. So about 2 hours before 10 o'clock, your melatonin levels start to rise. This is like the lights dimming in the theater, people getting ready for the show. At 10 o'clock, the conductor shows up, and this is like you laying down to go to bed at night. The conductor taps on the podium, he raises his hands, and the violins and cellos start to play. This is like GABA levels and adenosine levels rising at the start of sleep. And one by one, each instrument plays precisely when they're supposed to play. Each neurotransmitter and hormone rises and falls on this schedule, just like an orchestra creating a beautiful symphony. And of course it ends with a drum roll. This is like cortisol levels rising, and then you should wake up feeling very refreshed and ready to go. Now let's say instead of going to bed at 10 p.m. like you normally do, you decide to go to bed at 1 a.m. This would be like you've flown from Florida to California. Your sleep cycle is 3 hours ahead of you, but you're still awake. Now your body is confused. It's like all the members of the orchestra are ready to play and everything's set, but the conductor never shows up. Your melatonin levels start to rise around 8 or 9 p.m., but you never go to bed. Even though you've decided to go to bed 3 hours later than you normally do, your sleep hormones and neurotransmitters have risen around that 10 p.m. time frame when they're supposed to. So at the orchestra, the members are very confused. They don't really know what to do. The conductor's not there. The violins and cellos just start to play. Other members of the orchestra play out of turn, and the drums either never play or play way too late. And when this happens, your sleep quality takes a huge hit. You wake up feeling foggy and groggy, just unrested. This is why social jet lag is so insidious. Your sleep architecture just falls apart. You don't get to go through these restorative sleep cycles that help you recover, reset, and offload this sleep pressure. So now you're exhausted, and what do most of us reach for when we're exhausted? You guessed it, caffeine. And this actually leads me into my next section. Caffeine is the most widely used psychoactive substance in the world. Over 90% of adults use caffeine every single day. And listen, I love the taste of coffee. I'm not trying to say that it's inherently toxic, but what I am trying to say is that caffeine can have serious impact on your sleep. So going back to the example before, you're really exhausted, you need something to give you some energy, you reach for some caffeine or coffee. The truth is that caffeine does not give you energy though. It does two things. One is that caffeine stimulates your central nervous system. This is your fight or flight system. It's what makes you feel jittery and increases your pulse. This may look like energy on the outside, but what it's really doing is just mimicking the physical manifestations of energy. It's a facade that will shortly go away. The other thing that caffeine does is it blocks your sleep signal. So as you go on throughout your day, there's a chemical signal called adenosine, which builds and builds, which makes you feel more and more tired, and it reaches its highest point before you go to sleep. And once you go to sleep, your body processes it and brings it back down to zero. All that caffeine does is blocks this signal. Now, it doesn't erase the signal, it's still growing in the background, but it just temporarily shuts off an alarm. So caffeine doesn't remove the sleep pressure. All that it's doing is delaying the bill. You're basically using a credit card to put fatigue on this debt that steadily is building in the background. You may have bought yourself a little bit of time, but eventually you're going to have to deal with it. Now you may be hearing this and say, so what? I drink coffee in the morning. That's not gonna affect me at night. Well, the truth is that caffeine lingers in your system much longer than you realize. So in Michael Pollan's audiobook, Caffeine, he talks about something called the quarter life of caffeine, which is how long it takes for caffeine to go from its original amount to 25% of that. It actually takes 12 hours for caffeine to be reduced to that amount. So caffeine is still working even well into 12 hours later in the day. And you may subjectively feel fine drinking caffeine or using caffeine, but if we were to hook you up to a sleep monitor, you would be able to see that caffeine is silently interfering with your sleep. And this may not really be a problem for you. You have a modest amount of coffee or something earlier in the day, but you could consider trying to cut out caffeine for a few weeks, and certainly it would help your sleep. You would get much deeper sleep and better sleep, so you could try doing that. So now all this talk about caffeine and sleep is making you feel tired, and you may want to reach for a little nightcap. And that actually leads into our next section, which is alcohol. Now I know that I gave alcohol a really hard time in my other video, but alcohol is really important when it comes to talking about sleep. And it seems odd because alcohol is considered a nightcap in our society. Most people think that it helps them fall asleep, and it does initially feel that way. But underneath the surface, alcohol can cause a lot of harm. So let's say that in our prior example, you've had a long day, you want to unwind, you decide to have something like an old fashioned. Now when you have this drink, you'll feel as if you're falling asleep easier. But the truth is that it's sedating you to sleep. Alcohol does not follow the normal circadian rhythm of increases in different hormones and neurotransmitters. It's kind of like an overdrive switch that abruptly increases different neurotransmitters. It's kind of like in the orchestra example, the violin section just starts playing loudly and abruptly straight through its part all the way through to the end. Alcohol can affect two different neurotransmitters in your brain. One of them is called GABA. You can think of this like the brakes in your brain. When this level rises, you tend to feel really tired and groggy. The other one that alcohol affects is called glutamate. Glutamate is the accelerator in your brain. This is linked with mental sharpness and alertness. Alcohol drastically increases the brakes, and it also simultaneously suppresses the accelerator. Now, this effect at first will make you feel really groggy and tired, but after a while, there's a rebound effect where the accelerator has been suppressed and suddenly it will drastically rise. And when this rises, it's going to increase wakefulness throughout the night, and it's also going to interrupt your sleep cycles. So alcohol artificially raises and blocks different sleep signals that don't follow your circadian rhythm, and while you're asleep is where it causes a lot of damage. When you're asleep, you go through different sleep cycles like REM sleep and NREM sleep, which are around 80 to 100 minutes. When you drink alcohol, it's been shown that at its highest, it can block REM sleep, which is typically associated with emotional regulation and memory consolidation, about 30%. And this is really important because REM sleep has been shown to be extremely restorative and necessary for your overall well-being. So alcohol may sedate you to sleep initially, but once you're asleep, it really wrecks your sleep. It pushes really hard on the brakes, but once it does this, that rebound effect of glutamate really causes a lot of havoc to your sleep architecture. So really, it's something that should be avoided close to bedtime if you want to get really good and restorative sleep. So some takeaway points. Number one is it's really helpful to go to bed ideally at the same time every day and to get up at the same time every day. So go to bed when you want to go to bed and then try to get out of bed when you want to get out of bed. And I know that's not the easiest thing in the world to say because there's so many different variables that we're juggling throughout the day. But if you want to optimize your sleep, really strive to do this. The other thing is try to limit alcohol use and caffeine use, especially close to bedtime. If you do that, even if you don't have outright insomnia, you'll really notice that your sleep will improve. And if you want to do a little experiment, maybe you drink alcohol and different caffeinated beverages here and there, maybe stop drinking them for a while, maybe for 4 to 6 weeks, and see if there's any improvement in your energy and how restorative your sleep feels. Well, anyway, guys, thank you so much for checking out this channel. And I am curious, how much sleep do you get right now? I feel like it's something that a lot of people statistically have a hard time getting the amount that they want. And I am really curious. I have a 1-year-old, so my sleep isn't always the best, but I really try to get the most that I can. But anyway, thank you guys so much for checking out my channel. And if you want more health related content, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.